Hi, my name is Lily. I'm the Director of Coaching and Training Development at Body Brain Alliance, and I'm also a behavior change coach. Today, I want to do a Q&A. I asked on Instagram what people wanted some assistance on when it came to behavior change coaching, some obstacles that they were facing that maybe some coach tips would help with, and I thought it would be helpful to answer some of them on here to anyone else that can relate to things like their future self, goal setting, adding urgency, routines, making sure that they are adhering to their healthy eating goals, all of that fun stuff. So we're gonna go through these together. Okay, so the first question I got is, I'm struggling with identifying a realistic version of what I want my future self to look like. So before I answer this, I think it can be helpful to think about what your future self is. And for those who are maybe unfamiliar, when we are hearing the words future self, when we think of our future self, the future version of us is the person that is still us, that is doing the things, the behaviors, they're taking the actions, they are embodying the qualities that we really want for ourselves. It's kind of a level up from where we are now. Maybe this means that that version of us is exercising more often or eating healthier. Maybe they are refining their time management skills and they are more productive and efficient at work. Maybe they have more confidence in themselves. They're navigating any of those negative thought patterns or negative body image. Overall, the future version of you is someone that you strive to become through your actions and behaviors. So when this person says that they are struggling with identifying a realistic version of what they want their future self to look like, here's my take on it. I think there are two parts to this. On one hand, I think it's okay for your future self to be someone that you can't even fathom right now. I think that there is beauty and importance in imagining the future version of you as someone who is doing all of the things. It can be really empowering to have scary, big goals for yourself. So maybe you're not a runner right now, but when you think about your future self, you're crossing the finish line to a marathon. You're nowhere near that. But that's something that you want to become, and it can feel really scary and nervous. And that fear can be really good. It can help us strive for something, and it can help us really think about what our true potential is. So in one way, I think it's okay to have an unrealistic version of you that you think of when your future self comes to mind. With that being said, though, we want to be clear on what we need to do now as our current self to chip away and get closer to that future self. We don't want to expect ourselves to just jump right in and be doing all of those things that our goal version of us is already doing, because we're not there yet. We have to allow ourselves to be beginners. We have to allow ourselves to be new at it. We have to allow ourselves to be not good at something, to fail, to face obstacles, to struggle, because all of that adds up to long-term success and growth. So I encourage you to think about your future self, not just as that big, beautiful, huge, scary version, but also as smaller increments. So maybe your big, scary version of you is a year from now. But what would the future version of you 1 month be doing differently? How can we allow ourselves to get realistic from that time frame? What do you want to be doing a little bit more of? What actions do you want to be engaging in? What behaviors are you doing that's allowing you to feel powerful, stronger, fitter, healthier, more mindful, peaceful, grounded, whatever the words that come to mind for you that you resonate with? What are the small steps that you can take now, keeping that milestone of 1 month in mind? From there, we can scale back even further. So we're thinking about the things that we are doing 1 month from now, 3 months from now max. What does that mean that we do today? What are the small, incremental, realistic things and steps that we are doing now, that we are doing tomorrow, that we are doing just this week? If we can really be able to scale it back and look at things in small increments. We want to be able to play the long game. We don't want to rush. And by looking at things in smaller time frames, it feels less daunting it feels just as exciting because you know it's going to yield to that big, scary version of you who you're really excited to become and reveal all of your potentials. But it also allows you to stay motivated and clear on the actions that are going to lead up to that in smaller time frames so that we have a much better idea of the things that we need to do. Hopefully that's helpful. The second question is, how can I add some urgency to my goals? It's hard to carve out me time when normal work, life, mom tasks have a deadline. So I want to start by saying that when we think about urgency, because this is a good question, urgency to our goals means that I'm getting the feeling that we want to feel more motivated. We want to feel more oomph with being able to pursue our goals. And that's making me wonder if we are allowing other things to take priority. So what I would recommend starting with is treating your own personal goals as just a high of a priority as those other things in life. Now, with being said, there are things we can control and things that we can't. You're likely not going to say, I'm not going to show up for work tomorrow so that I can go do these things related to my goals, right? Because we know not showing up for work has consequences. At the same time, if we are constantly allowing all external factors in our life, people, things, circumstances determine our success, then we are at the mercy of everybody and everything around us, which is not effective and also a limiting belief for ourselves that we are not in control of our destiny in any capacity or any form. We want to be able to have the confidence and self-efficacy to take some of that power back. We can acknowledge that you may have a very busy schedule and you may have a lot of demands, but how can we lean into the radical responsibility of it to say that you're choosing to do that, right? Because it makes it less that you are at the mercy of it or don't have a choice, but rather you are choosing to do those things. So then therefore we can decide what other parts of your schedule or demands that we can determine that we don't want to do. We are delegating, we are offloading, we are opting out of, we are asking for support on, we are intentionally deprioritizing off our list so that we can make more time for our goals. But all of that are just tools that fall under the idea of setting your goals as the same level of priority and importance as you do these other things. I see a lot of clients put their goals and their needs on the back burner because everything and everybody else comes first, and then they are left feeling very frustrated, very disappointed, very stuck, and overall dissatisfied with where they are going within their life and not reaching their goals. One way to make sure that you are setting your goals as a priority is to consider something like calendar blocking. If you use calendar blocking already, or you have a calendar as a reference for something like work, it can be a resource that you're already utilizing and now you're just kind of adding to it for your own personal needs, and this can be very helpful. And so how you would use calendar blocking in this scenario is looking at the week ahead, allowing yourself the time and opportunity to sit down, look at your schedule, look at your calendar for the week, and schedule in your things first. So that way, you are not allowing yourself to just find time or hope there will be extra time. We want to make sure that we are reprioritizing our goals and the things that we really care about for ourselves. And that has to start with us intentionally scheduling in those pockets of time. Maybe it's only 5 minutes at first, but that's still 5 minutes more than what you were doing previously, and that's okay. That is progress. That is success. So schedule in your own things first, then schedule in the other important things within those other life categories around it, and see how that affects your follow through and being able to delegate specific time to that for yourself. The next question I got is, I keep sleeping in and then skipping my workouts and feeling like blah. What should I do to make sure I'm actually following through with my workouts? So, some questions that come to mind for me that can be helpful for you to reflect on if you haven't already is, one, if you are sleeping in and you are continuously skipping in your workouts, do we have to do the exercise in the morning. If it's a reoccurring barrier for you, what would it look like if we simply move the expectation of exercise to a different part of our day? That sometimes can be the easiest, where we just don't hold ourselves to this expectation. We're lowering the barrier by changing what the follow through and expectation is, so that if you have the availability to exercise in the afternoon and you're more likely to follow through with it without the additional barrier of like the morning and having to wake up, then we should consider that. So do we have to work out in the morning? Is there opportunity to change it? Another thing to consider is how you can have both. Maybe you do really like the mornings, but how can you allow yourself to still sleep in a little bit later, but still exercise in the morning? So can you have both? Can you still set an alarm and wake up a little earlier, but not as early as what you are currently intending to, and still exercise within that morning time frame? Number 2 is to consider why you are sleeping in. So many clients who I work with who have the struggle of waking up early usually have a problem with a nighttime routine and not necessarily with their morning routine. A lot of people want to be early morning goers. They want to have a solid morning routine. They want to wake up early. They want to do all of the things, and it's very admirable. However, if we're holding ourselves to the expectation that we are going to have this pristine, perfect, effective, productive morning, we need to make sure that we are getting enough quality and quantity of sleep to achieve that. So if you're not going to sleep until like 1 a.m., how can you possibly physiologically expect yourself to wake up at 5 a.m. and have enough energy and motivation and interest in doing all of the things that you set out to do? In this case, I recommend starting with your nighttime routine and asking yourself, how is my transition to sleep? How many hours of sleep am I getting? Am I getting good quality sleep? Is there anything in my bedtime, nighttime routine that I can change to support my sleep-related hygiene goals that will then make it easier for me to wake up in the morning? Number 3 is to consider that physical activity is not only exercise. So while your intention may be to get in structured movement, which is very helpful and very good for us, if we are losing that opportunity in the mornings, we sleep in, we miss that window of time, we're not getting in that structured workout, how can we fight the all or nothing mindset that tells us, well, missed it this morning, guess I can't work out at all today, and actually allow yourself to take messy action to find different creative strategies and fitting in movement. Maybe this is scheduling in small bouts of movement throughout the day that are 5 to 10 minutes of stretching or walking or doing some kind of body weight squats or exercise. How can you find intentional time to get out of the house and get outdoors to go for a walk? How might we integrate other people within our lives, like our support system, to make it a little bit easier to feel motivated and excited to get in some activity? Can we utilize things like YouTube videos or a pre-programmed exercise routine so that we don't have to make things up on our own? We want to find creative ways to fit in physical activity in other modalities if we are missing the opportunity to do it in the morning. Okay, and the last question that I want to answer today is, I don't eat enough fruit and vegetables with my lunch and dinner, but my breakfast gets a #1 award though. How can I transition this into those other meals throughout the day? So, some other questions to consider and ask yourself that may give light to some of the barriers that you're facing. So first, how are we defining enough? You say, I don't eat enough fruit and vegetables with my lunch and dinner. What is enough? Do we have a clear idea of what our expectations are? Do we have a number of servings in mind? Maybe certain variety? We want to get as clear and specific as possible so that the goal is more achievable and we're not wondering every day like, oh, did I do enough? Because enough is very vague, it's very broad, and your definition of it, even subconsciously, could change every day on if you met it or not. By getting really clear and specific with it, with maybe even some metrics in there, it can help a lot with you feeling clear on if you met that goal or didn't. The next thing is, you mentioned that breakfast, you do have enough fruits and vegetables in it. So I'm curious, what makes it easier to get in plants during that breakfast meal? What steps are you taking? What actions are you engaging in with your behaviors that are allowing that to happen more often? So, do you have easily accessible fruits and veggies that are already on hand that you can incorporate in that meal? Or is it something that you already have pre-prepped, and can we do that for those other meals? We want to try to duplicate the success that you're having in those areas for these other meals so that we are kind of transitioning those skills and not having to recreate the wheel. On the flip side of that, I'm curious what makes it harder for you to get in enough fruits and veggies for your lunch and your dinner. So again, are fruits and veggies not accessible enough? Or maybe we need to tweak the recipe so that it's incorporating plants. Do we maybe need to just simplify how we are thinking about integrating fruits and vegetables, like having a side dish of it instead of feeling like it has to be integrated in the meal? How can we allow ourselves to get essential and simplistic as possible to still meet those needs? And then lastly, we want to consider like easy, accessible options. So frozen and canned fruits and vegetables are a really great option. Pre-cut or pre-cooked veggies and fruits. Not overcomplicating it. Like I mentioned, maybe you have it on the side versus in the meal, or in the meal versus on the side, whatever works best for you. And also integrating it throughout your entire day. So maybe you have it at a different part of your day or for a snack so that it doesn't have to be in the meal, but you're still reaching your ultimate goal of the number of servings or variety or what the goal really is on what you determine to be enough. So those are the questions for today. I hope that you found this helpful when discussing goal setting, your future self, and even things around nutrition related to behavior change. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you can continue to get amazing behavior change tips and strategies from our team at Body Brain Alliance. And we do have an amazing free resource, which is called the free Future Self Mapping course that I will link here, where you can download your own course to navigate what your future self looks like, what habits you want to start doing, what qualities you want to embody as your future self, so that it can help you really start to pave the way to your own behavior change journey. Of course, if you need some individual support, we are happy to help you, and we encourage you to apply for one-on-one coaching in our Alliance coaching program so that our expert coaches can assist you along the way. And we will see you in the next video.